Okay, so maybe let's start. I can see that we already have a few people moved from this batch stream. Sorry for technical issues. Please let me know if you can hear me correctly. Please write in the chat if you can hear me. Maybe Vasilis, you can write. Okay, that's perfect. So again, sorry for being late. We had unexpected technical issues, which is quite popular in technical people to have technical issues. So no worries, we will start our GDG 3-city meetup in a minute. This is already our 7th meetup. And again, we meet online. However, I hope that one of our next meeting will be already be possible to held in offline mode. So maybe we will be able to see with some of you. And before that, let's start. So for today, we have really interesting schedule. We will have Nasia. She will tell us more about Jetpack Compose in her talk, Let's Compose. I'm really looking forward to that. This is, of course, very big thing in Android today. So this is really excited. And then we will have Michał. And Michał will tell us about other interesting topic for Android developers, and this is accessibility. Accessibility is extremely important for our apps because we want to reach as many users as possible and to provide every user with great experience. So this is also very interesting. And after every speech, we will have few minutes for Q&A. So you can already prepare your questions or note them. Please also feel free to write them here in the chat. We will pick them up and try to answer them after the presentations. And of course, please listen very carefully because we will have some great prizes in our quiz today. So hopefully you will be able to win something. We will have a sponsor for our today meeting. It's a PGS software company, and the company is a really big company here in Poland, and they will have some nice prizes for us. So yeah, just prepare your Kahoot because this is where we will have our quiz, and yeah, be ready to answer some questions. So without further ado, let's have Nasia to start her talk. So I will invite you, Nasia, to present your presentation. So please share your screen and we will be ready to go. Okay, I will now stop talking and the stage is yours.
Hello everyone, I am Nasia and I'm an Android developer in Greece, and today I want to talk to you about Jetpack Compose, the Android's modern UI toolkit, and hopefully I will persuade you to take it out yourselves after this presentation if you haven't tried things around already. So let's see what we're going to cover today. First of all, we're going to take a look on some view system on Android. And then we will talk about some basic concepts of Jetpack Compose in order to get a little bit more familiar to it. And finally, we will build a simple contacts app in order to showcase 3 of my favorite benefits when using Compose. Also, I'd like to note here that throughout this whole presentation, whenever mentioning Compose, I will refer to Compose UI Toolkit, since Compose is more than just a UI toolkit, to be honest. So you may wonder what is wrong with views, right? Well, there are actually a few things that are not ideal to the current UI system. For starters, it is bundled with the operating system. And that means that even if there was a bug fixed or an added functionality, we as developers should have to wait for the manufacturers to actually distribute this version of the operating system to our users. And this could actually take years, or even worse, some devices never get it at all. so that's not really good for anyone. Also, it was built around 10 years ago, so the needs and the tools back then were completely different. The devices had a lot smaller processing power and memory, and the users had completely different expectations. Nowadays, a user expects your app to have a smooth UI full of animations and to stand out. Another issue is that the current view system doesn't have a single source of truth. And what that actually means? Well, think of a checkbox. Whenever a user clicks on it, it updates a state internally to be checked, and that is what actually triggers the visual update on the screen. And you probably have some business logic, let's say within your view model, that controls this checkbox state. So you end up with two sources of truth, one with the state within your view model and the internal view state. And it creates several issues because it may stop being in sync. Another thing has to do with the complexity regarding custom views. I suppose most of you were surprised, as I was, the first time you created your own custom view, to find out how many files you actually have to create. You may need an XML file to declare your custom attributes, a Kotlin file or a Java file with the view implementation itself, and also another XML file regarding your layout if your view is a complex one. And all of these files are actually in completely different language, and that creates a fourth line of separation, and you don't get to organize your code in a way that makes the most sense to you. And lastly, it's an imperative UI, and that means that you have to decide what modifications have to be done on your view hierarchy based on this change and the current state of your UI. So you basically modify the existing UI by accessing the views and change its internal state using their setters. So you end up with a kind of messy and error-prone code since there is so many variables and cases that you have to consider every time. So now that we've gone through some of the disadvantages of the current view system, I think you all understand why the team decided to create Jetpack Compose from the scratch. And it actually resolves all of the mentioned issues, and it also provides some additional goodies, which is really great. So let's take a look on some of the core concepts of Compose. We are going to understand a little bit more about the components in Jetpack Compose, and we will see what is called the state and event. And also we will understand how and what recomposition actually is. For starters, as you all know, the building block on the current UI system, it is a view, whereas in Jetpack Compose, the building block is called composable. And what is a composable? Well, a composable looks like this, and it is actually just a simple Kotlin function annotated with the @composable that emits UI. And notice here this checked parameter that is being passed. It represents the checkbox state, since the appearance of the checkbox differs depending on this value. So if we want to create, let's say, a setting item with a checkbox, we would write something like this. And as you can see here, we pass this info down to our hierarchy. So we can say that the state goes down. And if we wanted to handle user interaction, for example, the user click on this checkbox, we will need to pass a lambda to be triggered whenever the user clicks this checkbox. So in order to update the state. So you can see here that the events actually bubble up. And notice that it is the name parameter of the parameter is in the present tense and not in the past, because in Compose the checkbox won't toggle itself internally, and this is the case for all composables, and not only the composables that the library provides to us, but also your own custom composables should follow this principle. You don't have to have a state within your composables, but you have to notify your caller and let it update the state, so you can achieve the single source of truth. And one last thing you may notice here is that there is no return value. And in fact, that's the case for all composables. There is no return value at all. So how would you, let's say, update the value of a text view representing a counter since you don't have any reference to this text view? And you don't have any idea to use find view by ID like you normally do now? Well, you must probably have a view model similar to this that exposes a counter and a method in order to increase it. And then within your fragment, you probably observe this late data in order to update your text view. In Compose, it's pretty similar, but this time within your composable function, you're going to use this observe as state method, which is provided by the library. And it's actually an extension function on live data that transforms your live data into a state object. And at the same time, whatever composable reads this value automatically subscribes to these state changes. And that is helpful because that's how Compose know that it has to re-invoke this composable in order to update your UI and emit a new UI according to the change. So to get the full picture, this is how our counter composable would look like. And as you can see, I use the observe as state method in order to transform our late data into a state for our text widget. And whenever the state actually changes due to our click listener that triggers the increase counter of our view model, our text composable gets re-invoked by Compose to update the UI. Okay, so let's take a minute and connect all the dots of how composable works. So you have a composable that takes a state as a parameter and observes changes to it. And then on any user interaction, it notifies the caller in order to handle it and update the state. And due to the state changes, Compose will re-invoke your composable function in order to update the UI. And that is what is called a recomposition in Compose. Okay, enough about theory. Let's dive in and see Compose in action. Through this sample app, I'm going to show you 3 of my favorite aspects on Compose. First, we are going to build a contact screen with sticky headers, and you will see how much less boilerplate code we need to write. Then we will see how we can change our application theme while it's still running. And lastly, probably the most exciting one, we will see how we can potentially get rid of fragments. Let's start by building our contact screen. And the result will be similar to what you see on the right side of the screen. First, we are going to create our item composables. We need a header item and a normal contact item. So regarding our header item, I'm going to use this row composable that's provided by Compose. And it's the equivalent of a linear layout with horizontal orientation. Also notice here that we use this text style object in order to set up the text styling configuration of our text widget. And what's pretty cool is that we get type safety after all, instead of the int flags we're now using on view system. And another thing you may notice is this modifier object that we pass to our text composable. And modifiers are similar to view attributes that we set on our XMLs. And every composable actually accepts a modifier object. And you can change modifiers using builder pattern in any way you desire in order to decorate your composable and achieve the desired output you want. An important note here is that the order that we change modifiers actually matters because it alters the output. In order to understand this a little bit more, let's take a look at a slightly modified header item. Instead of a circular background, I used 2 borders with a padding of 4 dps between them. So notice that the blue border is the one closer to the character, and the magenta border is one further away. And that's because the resulting component is being constructed from the outside layer towards the composable in the center. So if you swap those 2 borders, those 2 lines, you end up with this result. So now the magenta border is the one closer to the character. And finally, chaining the same modifier in a row won't override the previous value, but it will be applied on top of it. So if you add a padding of 4 dps twice between those 2 borders, the result will be 2 borders with a distance of 8 dps. So it's in contrast with how the view system works now. It may seem confusing at the first glance, but it is really flexible, and you will see that you can build your UI easier and faster. And as for our contact item, it's pretty straightforward. We simply need to display the full contact name. And I again use the raw composable provided by the library, and I set up some modifiers in order to achieve the result I needed. So now that we have our items composables, let's create a contact list. And for start, without headers in order to be more clear. What we are going to do is we are going to use this lazy column composable that is again provided by the library, and it's the equivalent of a recycler view. And what you actually need to do is simply pass your list of data, in our case, the contact list, to our to items method that's provided by the lazy list scope, and also lambda indicating how your item should look like. So we need to pass the contact item we created earlier. And that's pretty much everything you need to do. You don't need any adapter or view holder or even set up a layout manager. And so it's really nice. But if that's not exciting enough for you, let's add sticky headers to see how much easier it is, because if you try to add sticky headers before, you probably know how frustrating and complex it gets, but not in Compose. So I have added some code here in order to sort and group our items by their initial, but let's focus on what matters. I still use lazy column composable, but for its group this time, I'm going to use sticky headers method provided by lazy list scope again. And this time I'm going to pass the initial car header composable we created. That is the composable we are going to use for our headers. And as for the rest items, the code is exactly the same as earlier when we wrote the list without the sticky headers. And that's everything you need to do. You don't have to write any additional code. Everything is being handled by Compose for you. Pretty cool, right? But you may ask, what about user interaction? So let's add favorite functionality in order to showcase how you can also handle this. This is our contact item currently. And the first thing we need to do is to pass some data in order to know if our current contact item is favored or not, and also a way for our user to toggle the state and update the favorite IDs. So I pass a set of contact IDs that represents our favorite contacts, and the lambda to be triggered whenever the user decides to change the state. And also, in order to let Compose know that it has to recompose this composable, we are going to use observer state method we saw earlier. And the last thing we need to do is some indication of the current state on our UI, and let's say an image button. And the user, whenever clicks on it, it will toggle the state. So the library actually provides a composable that meets exactly our needs, and it's called icon toggle button. And if you see here, this checked parameter represents the composable state. So we pass this favorite flag. And there is also a lambda to be triggered whenever the user clicks on this button. And we pass the onToggleFavorite method of our view model that actually updates the set of IDs that represents our favorite contacts. And that's what causes the recomposition. So that's it. And you have added everything you needed. And the last thing we need to do is to actually hook our contact list to our activity. And we just place our composable within the setContent method within onCreate of our activity. And you can see here that I have added some decoration and customization to our items. But for the scope of this presentation, we don't get to see the details, but feel free to check them on the repo at the end of the presentation. Okay, let's move on. And what we need to do now is to make our theme dynamic. And the aim is whenever the user changes its device setting from dark to light mode, our app needs to update the set of colors that it's using. So it's pretty simple. We simply have to define a custom theme for our application. And in order to do that, you just wrap the material theme composable that's provided by the library with your own application theme composable. And you pass the appropriate set of colors based on the current system setting regarding dark or light mode. And to detect whether you are on dark mode or light mode, you just use this system in dark theme method that's provided again by the library. And everything is going to work by recomposition and how Compose works under the hood. Notice that the theming in Compose is runtime, so you can also provide dynamic theming not just for dark and light mode. You can also have multiple themes that your user can select within your settings, or even a different theme on different screens if your app does what it's need. And lastly, let's see how you can potentially get rid of fragments. And we simply want to navigate to a detailed screen whenever the user clicks on a contact item. And in order to do that, you will have to represent your whole screen as a composable. And you're going to use navigation library to navigate between those screen composables. And you may have already used navigation library before with fragments. So the idea is pretty much the same, but the Android team started building a separate navigation library that is compatible with Compose and is currently on beta. And you just have to set up your navigation graph using your composable nodes, and everything else is pretty much the same as if you were using fragments. Okay, so wrap up. Jetpack Compose is a declarative way of writing UI, and it works great with unidirectional data flow. And for example, you can have your view model as a single source of truth and let it expose a stream of screen state objects that based on those objects, your screen will be built and emit the appropriate UI. Have in mind that having a single source of truth means that your state will go down to your hierarchy and the event will go up. And also don't forget that whenever the state changes, the Compose will handle by recomposition the update of the screen. When using Compose, it's easier and faster to write UI because you have all coding ecosystem on your hands. The team has provided functionalities for common cases like we saw earlier with the recycler view. And there is much more easier and powerful API to work with animations. And great support for regarding testing and accessibility. And lastly, there's out-of-the-box implementation for material design. Also, Compose is compatible with the rest of the Jetpack family libraries, and not only. You can also have support for well-known image loading libraries, so your options won't be limited. And lastly, there's no need to rewrite your existing project from scratch. You can slowly make the transition into Jetpack Compose, since views and composables can work great together. So what's stopping you? Start building Compose. Thank you.
Thank you, Nasia. That was really nice. And I actually had a few questions myself. And the same question I had, so how ready to production you believe it is? We also have a question from Ruhayoshi. And the question is, I started to build an app planning to launch in August. Is it the right time to start to build my app with Jetpack Compose or continue with XML for now? So what would you say, Nasia?
My personal opinion is that it's the right time to start using Compose since it works great with also existing views. So even if there is a library that you need to do like maps that is not in Compose, you can still use it since it's compatible. And Compose is actually going to be stable in July. So many companies have already started using Compose in production. So feel free to start using it.
Cool, sounds great. And another question, if you believe that Jetpack Compose is more readable than XML?
Well, I suppose it is. Maybe it doesn't seem so at the first, but it's because we are used to XML. So when you try and start building Compose, you will see that you get to more familiar, and it's the flexibility that provides. It's a lot faster, and you don't get to navigate through different files and different languages and have to organize the things.
Great. Yeah, my question is actually pretty similar. So would you say it was hard to switch from XML to Compose, or was that easy for you?
I think it's just to get used to. I think it wasn't that hard. It may be like sound or seems challenging, but as long as you get starting, you will see that it's pretty straightforward.
Cool. And another question we have, more to the details, let's say, if observe state function is provided in state flow like live data. Can you answer that?
If I'm not mistaken, it is provided for state flow, also observables of Rx and many other streams.
Okay, perfect. If you have any more questions, guys, so please write them on the chat. So we will try to answer them also later. And I don't know if Nasia, if this is there is something you would like to add to this presentation.
Thank you very, very much for having me. And if everyone needs, has any question and wants, he can contact me to LinkedIn and I will try to help them out.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now let's go to the next point. It will be Michał. Michał, please share your screen.
Hello, everybody.
And we will have Michał talking about accessibility in Android. So stage is yours, Michał.
Hello. Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
I will go to the high.
Do you see my screen? To be my last question. Okay, so I will start. Today, I would like to talk about the accessibility test, not only on Android devices, not only related to Android application, but also the web pages. Why do we need accessibility tests? So about 50% of the population have some disabilities, not only the permanent one, but also the temporary one. Like I don't know if you meet them, but sometimes after some medical examination, you have some problem with your eyes, you don't see correctly, or for example, when you break your hand. By performing the accessibility test or by following some design rules, you can increase the number of customers. If application is downloaded more times, it generates, of course, more income for you or for your company. If application follows the accessibility rules and the customer can use it with any disabilities, it could have impact on the company name. And also the company can be lawsuit by the users that are not able to use application fully. And also you have some satisfaction that all your application users, all of them can use this application in the same way. And currently on the market, as you know, Android operating system is used on many different devices that we can see on the list. So phone and tablets, digital TVs, wearables such as smart watches or smart bands, devices in the car dashboard, on airplanes, seat bags, and device in household appliance. So there's lots of places that we can test. So good practice is to follow some core principles during application or web development. So we have the perceivable. So this is availability through seeing, hearing, or touching. Operable, so compatible with keyboard or mouse. Understable, so easy to comprehend, and robust, work across browser, assistive technologies, mobile devices, old browsers, and etc. So let's move to the first part. the small screen size, so of minimizing the amount of the information that is put on each page. It's help for the application. Even creating a dedicated mobile version of web pages or application like bank application. They are different on the laptops and different on the mobile devices. Providing a reasonable default size for content and touch controls, and adapting the length of links text to the viewport width. About zoom and magnification, so we should ensure that the browser pinch zoom is not blocked. Supports and also support for system font that follow platform level user performance for text size. And about contrast, just to make correct contrast of the screen's label, so that everybody could view it and read it in almost all conditions. Okay, let's move to the next one. So operable, so keyboard control for touchscreen device. So we should check the possibility to use application with USB or Bluetooth keyboard and mouses. With keyboard, we need to check if we can go through the application with only the Bluetooth or USB keyboard. So using the arrows, that's if we press arrow down, the next part of content is selected, not just jumping around the application. Okay, the next one is touch target size and spacing. So the high resolution of mobile devices means that many interactive elements can be shown together on a small screen, but those elements must be big enough and have enough distance from each other so that user can safely target them by touch. Device manipulation gestures. So while device manipulation gesture can help developers creating innovative user interface, they can also be a challenge for people who have difficulty holding or are unable to hold a mobile device. Some, but not all, mobile operating system provides workaround features that let the user simulate device shakes, tilts, and other gestures from an on-screen menu. Placing buttons where they are easy to press. So mobile sites and applications should position interactive elements where they can be easy reach when the device is held in different position. Understable, so changing screen orientation, portrait, and landscape. Some mobile application automatically set the screen to a particular display orientation, landscape or portrait, and accept that user will respond by rotating the mobile device to match it. However, some users have their mobile devices mounted in a fixed orientation, for example, on the arm of a power wheelchair. Therefore, mobile application developers should try to support both orientation. Consistent layout, so components that are repeated across multiple pages should be present in a consistent layout. For example, for a website, we have some logo, a title for a search form, a navigation bar at the top of each page. Those appear in the same relevant order on each page where they are repeated. Positioning important page elements so it is visible without requiring scrolling can assist users with low vision and users with cognitive impairments. Grouping operable elements that perform the same action So when multiply elements perform the same action or go to the same destination, for example, links, icons, those should be contained within the same actionable elements, providing clear indication that elements are actionable, clickable. So elements that trigger changes should be marked to be clearly distinguished from non-actionable elements. Robust. So set the virtual keyboard to the type of data enter required. Some mobile device also provide different virtual keyboard depending on the type of data entry. So if we need to enter the numbers, we can just show the numeric keyboard, and if we need to enter some letters, we are just using the normal QWERTY keyboard. We should provide easy method for data entry, so user can enter information on mobile device in multiple ways, such on-screen keyboard, Bluetooth or USB keyboard, touch, and speech. And support the characteristic properties of the platform. For example, most platforms have the ability to set large fonts, but not all applications honor it for all text. Also, some application might increase font size, but not wrap text, causing horizontal scrolling. So now let's go to some testing stuff. The talkback accessibility. So we need to turn it on then the setting. After turning it on the screen of the device, we can see that it changed to the mouse. So if you touch the screen and swap your finger on the right side, the next element should be displayed. So here after the talkback, the second one should display when we move it, when we swipe from left to right on the screen. If we swipe from the right to left, the previous element should be selected and read it. Of course, read it, not only selected. And if you tap twice on the screen any place, it should work like an enter. So it's the element, if it's clickable or it's linked, it should do the action. What is important during this testing of talkback? Important is that we should check the application from top to the bottom and from bottom to the top. So we should check that every element one by one is selected correctly. The selection doesn't jump from the first to third or the last element on the page. Important is also to move when our application have the 2 pages, for example, to check that if we move, the first thing is that when we go to the element that's shown that we are on the first page, it will read it, that we are on the first page, and if we click it, we'll go to the second page. And also when we do it and we click it and the second page will open, the first text selected on the page should be read it. Okay, the font size. So here we need to check all text with the different font size from the small to the medium and the large one. I think the biggest problem is with the large one because usually the text doesn't fit into the buttons or to other fields, and it doesn't look nice. Then sometimes the scroll appear on the screen because the size of the letters and text is not displayed correctly. So I think that this is also important. Also, we need to check if the size would be changed, yes, because as I said previously, sometimes application doesn't care about the settings of the font. They are just displaying the font size as it is developed. What I can tell you from my experience, so I think that the most important is to use those core rules during development process. If your application did not follow any accessibility rules, don't try to fix all at the same time. Of course, maybe you have time for it, so you can do it. But if not, you can start from new features, functionalities that you developed, and try to follow accessibility rules in them. And then when you have some free time, you can just continue with other one. And I think the most cases on application websites that the rules are already used, but sometimes they are not fully tested. So this is also important. Okay. So now is the question part.
Whoops, you can't hear me. Thank you, Michał, so much. I believe this is really, really important topic to to remember about when you develop Android apps and any other apps for particular.
Yes.
But I wanted to ask, what would you say are the most important priorities to start making your app more accessible? So from which point would you start? Because as you said in the presentation, it's not possible to start with everything at once.
So at the beginning, I think I will check the font size, because I think that this one is the most important. Maybe not the most, but the many people with some problem with seeing are using mobile device. So I think that this one I will take the first shot, and the second one will be the talkback option. Yeah.
Okay, good. I don't know if we have any more questions, but let's not worry about that too much. I, in the meantime, can answer a question from Amr. Sorry if I pronounce it bad. Nasia has answered me on the private chat because some troubles with YouTube chat. So let me just put it in the comments so you will all be able to see it. And in the meantime, please prepare your Kahoot app if you don't have it already.
So maybe I will just add, if you will find any question about accessibility, you can always find me on LinkedIn. And thank you for listening to my presentation.
Exactly. Great. Thank you, Michał, so much. Please stay on the line, let's say. And we will have our quiz in a second. So first, let me just paste Nasia answer quickly on the chat. It should be visible soon. Let's hope. And then let me share again. You should be able to see the Kahoot screen now with the pin. So please open your Kahoot app, write the pin in, and join our quiz. We will have only 6 questions, so it's not too much, but the prizes are really nice. So I really invite you to take part in this quiz. We will have prizes for 3 people at the top. So this is really great opportunity to win some nice prizes. So I can see we have 3 people already. I see that I'm asking about Kahoot app. It's Kahoot. You can download it on your phone, but you can also just write it in your browser and use it there. This is an app that allows you to take part in our quiz. You will see questions on the screen, and then on your phone you can answer. So please open Kahoot app on your phone. It can be an app or it can be a browser, and then you will be able to answer questions. So 3 people for now. Let's give other people also some time. We don't have many people today. This is not too strange to me because the summer vacations are really close and we are all in the holiday mood already probably. But I hope that more people will join and we can have a quiz. Great. Say joined. I can see your name on the screen, so that's perfect. Let me just wait another minute if there is anyone else wanting to answer the questions. And let's hope we will be able to start soon. So as Michał said, and Nasia also mentioned, please feel free to ask the questions directly to them on the LinkedIn, for example. I'm sure they will be happy to answer these questions. And for now, we have 5 people. Ruha also joined, so that's great. I believe this is everyone who wanted to join our quiz. So let's start. For those who didn't have yet a chance to try the Kahoot app, there will be a question. You need to read the answers and choose the proper color. And you need to be quite quick because we will have only about 20 seconds, I think, to answer. So let's start. So this will be a quiz for our Jetpack Compose and accessibility meeting. And first question is, which of the following can be a composable? And the answers are interface, class, function, all of the above. And please choose the proper color on your phone. Also, it's important not only to know the proper answer, but to also know the also be the quickest one. And we have 4 people with proper answers, so that's great. I think one person didn't answer, so maybe in the next question, everyone will be able to answer. Amr, I'm not sure if you are the one who didn't answer. Please remember that you need to choose the proper color on your phone. Yeah, I can see that you didn't answer. So you need to open the Kahoot app on your phone to see the colors. Okay. So the next question, how is it called? The process of compose, calling a composable, again, in order to redraw the UI. So it's composition, invocation, recomposition, reinstantiation. Okay, great. So we had 6 answers now. So seems like someone already joined. So that's great. 5 proper answers. So let's see. Tsano is the first one. Sorry if I didn't pronounce it correctly. Then is Vasilis and Gons. Okay, let's try the next question. This is true or false question. So the order of the modifiers is not important. Is that true or false? It was really nicely showed in Nasia presentation. So if you watched carefully, you will sure know the answer for this. Yeah, so we have 5 people answering correctly. So that's great. Okay. Aaron has the highest streak of 3 correctly answered questions. Good. Also remember to be fast. And let's see the next question. So Jetpack Compose is imperative UI, compatible with Android views, bundled with the operating system, or none of the above? What's the answer to that? We have 2 answers. Okay, this question was a little bit harder. We only have 2 proper answers, so it's compatible with Android views, obviously, and it was also a really, really tricky one. Okay, so Tsano is on first place, then Vasilis and Gons. So we have still 2 questions in the quiz, so you can still win. What percentage of the population is disabled? This is something that Michał told us. It's 15%, 8%, 25%, or only 2%. Do you remember? Which one was that? Yes, it's about 50% of the population who has some kind of disability. This clearly shows how important it is to make our app accessible. That's great. We don't have any changes on the top 3. So this is last question for you, Aaron and Ruha, to maybe make yourself up to the top. Let's see. The last question. What is the name of the function that reads text from the screen? It's voiceover, talkback, backtalk, or text-to-speech. This is also something that Michał told us about. Okay, and everybody answered that. So this is talkback. That's the proper answer. And let's see who is at the podium. At the 3rd position, we have Gons, and then 2nd is Vasilis, and 1st is Tsano. Congratulations. So if you are one of these 3 people, please contact me later. You can contact me on LinkedIn, or you can contact me on our Slack channel. Let me just share the information. Yes. So here you can see how to contact me. Easiest would be LinkedIn, probably, but also we invite you all very much to join our Slack to be up to date with everything we do and wait for some next interesting meetings. I really hope that you enjoyed this one. I'm sure I did. And I also wanted to tell you one more important thing, and this is have an amazing summer holiday, guys. So thank you so much. I hope to see you soon, probably in September when we will organize the next meeting. Thank you so much, and we will end the stream. Bye-bye.